Hi, welcome to a Forex update. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday the 17th of October. Okay, I thought I'd step back and have a look at a bigger time frame of the euro dollar this morning. What we've seen over the last few weeks is quite a bit of consolidation. It started to push up again. What I've drawn on here was the original trend line that we'd broken through, just to give an idea of possible distance if this move was to continue to the upside. We're coming up to some really key levels very soon on these previous highs here. If we can break through those, there's a chance that this wave that we're in at the moment could continue and run up towards at least the weekly 200, maybe as high as my forecast figure here. But I think it's a really big ask when you're pushing through the 135 area. Things aren't necessarily that great, but we'll see. But there's a sort of a more longer term potential projection, if you like, rather than just a short term one. But when we bring this down and look at the dailies, what we're seeing here is there is a little bit of a Gartley going on, a bit of a Gartley pattern. It's probably maybe a bit overcooked on the pullback here, but there is a bit of a Gartley pattern going on. The problem with the bigger time frames, and we can be about 50 to 100 points out, or it can overrun. So trying to trade it's almost impossible. But it may just be giving us a heads up for a bigger move down on this from this daily perspective. However, we'll be able to see whether that occurs in the next today, I would imagine. But if we see it selling off, well, that could be a sign for a bigger retracement, probably a 61.8 retracement as a minimum from the lows here, so to give us a reasonable retracement. But if we continue up, we've got resistance, and this is where we run into these key levels. If we've got this resistance level here, if we run into this level here, we may get a bit of resistance. I'm sure there will be some resistance, but if it breaks through and runs as it did through the high we had previously from the 5th of October, we could see it carrying on, as I say, this bigger move up, this sort of bigger wave pattern upwards. Certainly potential. Now on the smaller time frames, as we come down, I'll do it on here. As we come down on the smaller time frames, what we do have is quite an overbought situation. But these overbought situations can last for some time, so I'm not that fussed by it. But all in all, we are quite extended away from some of the key moving averages, and whilst the 50 is a long way away, even the 8 moving average is quite a long way away. And from this sort of picture may suggest that we would get some sort of retracement at some point soonish. Although, as I said to our traders in the room this morning, there's been so much positive news keeps coming out regarding the euro, even be it that the fact that they're going to have to give a bailout to Spain at some point, it's bolstering the euro. And of course we've got the uncertainty US wise, election wise, so the balance of it probably just swinging a little favour in towards the euro. Just putting a retrace in. There we go. Retrace on this overall move. And if we were to get I've talked about the Gartley. A Gartley would bring us down as a retrace towards a 61.8 area, which could bring us right the way back to that 50. So pretty indecisive. There's things to suggest we could get some upside. There's signals that are also bearish there. So a bit of a mixed bag and pretty much oversold. And we may see in the next 4 to 8 hours how we develop from where we are at the moment. We'd had a long run of up bars here. We'd put the shooting star in, which is quite bearish, of course. That might top out, but if we start breaking beyond that, well, we could continue to the upside further. Okay, that's pretty much. I will just come down to the 60-minute. We have got the daily pivot below us, which is normally a fair target. We missed it yesterday. We've had periods before we've missed it twice in a row. But it is relatively rare. But I don't want to be putting that in my in front of what's actually happening with the trends and everything else. The trend is still pretty strong here. In fact, I could. We've got this old trend line here. I'm going to just redraw that across the lows here. pop it the steeper channel in there, trend line there, because that's where we are at the moment. If this can hold, well, maybe we'll get that push break out of the highs this morning and push up further. If it does start failing, well, we have got support on this 21 MA, not too far below, but by the time it hits that support, whilst it may give it a bounce, it'll have put a lower high in and would possibly suggest further downside towards the daily pivot. Again, on this time frame, we are quite extended from the key moving averages, such as the 50, but the 200 is still flat and sort of neutral to me, but it is quite extended from the 50. So it may be either we consolidate for a longer, allowing the 50 to come up, or we get a bigger correction on the hourly basis. Okay, let's have a quick look at cable. I'm going to be much quicker on cable. Let's just run through, and he eventually switches for me. And we'll start off with a quick look at the weekly basis, and you'll see from here, if I actually draw across the previous highs, there we go. It's again, there's this sort of inverted head and shoulders going on here, and it's again trying to push out of that. We've got a bull flag sitting here on the weekly basis. If it can maintain, I mean, the obvious areas that we should be looking at resistance are these previous highs here, very key level. So if over the next week or two we run towards that, that certainly would probably give us a bit of divergence potentially as well. Looking at the daily viewpoint, we're just pushing out of this descending channel that's coming down here with the two channels running through. It's just pointing out, which could look for some further bullishness on this daily point. On a 4 hourly basis, where we got this ascending channel, it's pushing to the top. The top bands or top lines here, whilst they act as resistance occasionally, it's much weaker than a support area. A support area, once it bounces on it, it's a lot stronger. These are really just, I mean, you're just copying this, pasting it to the top here. So it's an idea where it is. But this much bigger channel is winning over effectively. The bigger time frames winning over. But as with the euro, we're pretty overbought on cable. But again, we can run into overbought times and oversold periods for long periods. So I'm not put off that in the short term. But we're getting a reasonable run again now. Looking in the intraday basis, again we've missed a pivot. We caught it yesterday, so it's only going to be potentially one missing. We're running back up to the highs. There was good news out earlier on. It could be that the overall feel towards the dollar may just weaken a bit more. We could see the pound and the euro both benefiting from that. No overbought sort of situation on the hourly basis. So there is further potential for the euro cable to actually run up. It did put this pivot swing in. A break of this top here could see us run to the R2 in the shorter term and probably beyond. As I say, we've now broken out of that 4 hourly descending channel. So if it can close above this, we could even see later on, either today, tomorrow, we could be running back up to these highs from the 5th of October. Now, Euro's already done its 5th of October high, so I wouldn't be overly surprised if cable did similar. Okay, that's it for me. I hope you have a great week. Kevin will be back on Friday. Bye for now.